First Friday in June, and it marks the beginning of Wear Orange weekend. All over California and across the country, we'll wear orange to demand a future free from gun violence. Wear Orange is dedicated to honoring the lives of people in the United States affected by gun violence and elevating leaders across the country who are demanding an end to gun violence by taking action. As we begin, I'd like to ask everyone to take a moment to reflect on our loved ones, family members, and communities impacted by gun violence. Thank you. 2023 was another deadly year for America's gun violence epidemic. And in the first half of 2024, the impacts of this public health crisis have continued to devastate communities and families across the country. In fact, just last night, the community of Oak Park within Sacramento was affected by gun violence, and we have those families in mind this morning. And as incidents of gun violence have grown, so too has the movement to stop it. We continue to educate, raise awareness, organize, advocate, and rally for safer communities. Together, we can build a future free from gun violence. And today, we stand shoulder to shoulder with our gun sense lawmakers and community partners. So it's my privilege to turn the mic over to California's Lieutenant Governor Kounalakis.
Good morning, everybody. How are we feeling? So good to be here with all of you. Lisa Henry, thank you. Moms Demand Action, thank you so much for organizing this event. It is a great privilege and pleasure to be here standing side by side all of these incredible activists. And in particular, I want to acknowledge our treasurer of the state of California, Fiona Ma, is here. We have two of the leaders of this movement in the Assembly members Gipson and Zbur, who are here. And of course, the incredible, tireless Senator Susan Rubio is also here and joining us. And I also want to recognize and thank Everytown, which has been so essential in organizing today's event as well. And of course, we are all here to talk about the critical issue that affects every single one of us in California, and that is the epidemic of gun violence and what we are going to do to prevent and stop it so more Californians can rest easy and sleep and live safely in a peaceful society that we all deserve. So we know gun violence has plagued our nation for far too long, tearing families apart, shattering communities, and leaving a devastating impact on countless lives. Over 120 lives are lost and hundreds are wounded because of gun violence every single day. And most tragic of all, our children, our kids are being gunned down. Firearms are now the #1 cause of death for children in the United States. This is unacceptable. But here in California, we refuse to accept this as our reality. Thanks to the leadership of Governor Newsom and our legislature, California has the toughest gun control laws in the nation. And here is the most important thing, they work. The death rate for gun violence is 43% lower in California than the national average. And this is why, that's right. This is why in California we have universal background checks, right? In California we have bans on assault weapons and high capacity magazines. In California, we have raised the age to purchase a gun to 21 years old. Yes, we have a 10-day waiting period. And in California, we have red flag laws that allow for temporary firearm removal from individuals believed to be at risk of harming themselves or others. Red flag laws. We have them in California. We need them across the nation.
Yeah.
So it is clear California's gun safety laws work to prevent gun violence, and our state will never back down from leading in the fight to protect our people. But we cannot do it alone. We need reform at the national level. And that is why we are all here today, taking a stand, saying that enough is enough, and that thoughts and prayers are not the best we can do. California will not stop until every voice is heard and every life is protected from senseless gun violence. Thank you. So now it is my pleasure to pass the microphone to an activist who is working hard to end gun violence, someone who is refusing to accept the status quo. Our next speaker is a junior at Sacramento State University and a leader with a chapter of Students Demand Action for California. And she, like all the activists with Students Demand Action, are committed to making sure future generations of young adults do not have to live in fear of gun violence. And with that, I would like to ask Kiara Youngblood to please come up to the podium. Thank you, everybody. Where's Kiara? Lisa? Yes. Who's next? Is Kiara maybe delayed? All right. With that, it is my honor and privilege to bring someone who has been fighting on this issue for decades of public service, an incredibly committed leader for our state, our Treasurer of California, Fiona Ma.
Thank you. Let's give a hand to our Lieutenant Governor, Eleni Kounalakis, who is never scared to take on the big fights because it is the right thing to do. And she also, we were born a day apart, so we're kind of like twins. And we've been working together for the last 20 years on so many of these issues, and this one is of utmost importance. I want to thank Laura Abbasi of Everytown for Gun Safety, Angela Farrell Zabala, Executive Director of Moms Demand Action, and of course Lisa Henry for all of your leadership and hosting this and raising the awareness about this Friday, this weekend, this month, as well as this lifetime that we have. On average, 3,200 people die by guns in California every year. That's 3,000 too many. California has some of the nation's strictest gun laws and the lowest rates of gun deaths and ownership in the country. California ranked #1 in the country for gun law strength, and we thank Governor Gavin Newsom and all the legislators here for signing 3 important gun safety bills. Like the Lieutenant Governor said, they are working. And without all of you raising the awareness, standing firm, making sure we show up, represent, lobby, protest, come to committee to support these type of bills, and the legislators that want to make sure that we have more safety, less gun violence here in the state of California. We are not gonna be able to be that state that we are, where everybody feels safe in their homes, in their businesses, on the street, and that's what this is about. So thank you. I want to recognize all the victims and survivors of gun violence as well. It is not easy for the families to endure, but then having them come out and speak, like we're going to have some people testify today, is so important to the cause, to put a face to this very important issue. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Treasurer Ma. I am now proud to introduce my friend, Deborah Ellison, who is an Everytown Survivor Fellow and the volunteer local group leader for our Stockton local group for Stockton Moms Demand Action. Deborah?
Thank you, Lisa, for that introduction. Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And thank you so much for being here this morning. I know that you could have been somewhere else, but you chose to be here with us at this Wear Orange community event. Thank you for your tenacity, your commitment to end gun violence, and our communities, and across our nation. We are here to honor those whose lives have been shattered by gun violence. Wear Orange is one of my favorite campaigns because I too have been personally impacted by gun violence. By coming together at Wear Orange events, being with other people who have similar experiences, hearing their stories, I gained so much courage and strength from them to keep on sharing my story and to keep fighting to end gun violence. I'm a proud mother. I'm a grandmother. I'm a great-grandmother, aunt, cousin, friend, neighbor. And now I am a gun violence survivor. This path chose me on February 13th, 2018, the day that my one and only son was gunned down. He was murdered in cold blood by an angry man. After my son was interrupting an altercation between some teens, that day he was killed. That day was one of the most heartbreaking and painful days in my entire life. Thus, my pain to purpose journey began. When my daughter passed away a few months later from an illness, my family and I were left breathless, wounded, and broken. Being a part of this organization for the past 5+ years has brought me so much peace, knowing that I am not alone. I have met some of the kindest, most compassionate people that I know, that I now consider a part of my family. We share our successes, our tears of sorrow, our joyous moments, and our determination for change. We will not and we cannot quit fighting this horrific epidemic that is taking over our nation. Our loved ones are so much more than a number cited in a tally in the ongoing political war against senseless use and access to weapons. Like my son, his name was Charles, we call him Chuck lovingly. They are fathers, uncles, sisters, mothers, daughters. And each day that passes without our loved ones is a reminder why we do this work. We are in this fight together to prevent more senseless and endless tragedy. Thank you in advance for your support and participation in this movement. Let us continue this work until we have worked ourselves out of a job. Let gun violence end now. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Deborah. I'm so glad to know you. Can everybody just take a minute to say Chuck's name?
Chuck.
Thank you. I am very pleased now to introduce our next speaker, Assembly Member Rick Zbur.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rick Chavez Zbur, and I represent the 51st District, which runs from Santa Monica to Griffith Park and includes the communities of West Hollywood, Hollywood, and East Hollywood. Gun safety has been a long-standing priority of mine because of the damage that we've witnessed in so many of our communities and the threats that gun violence poses. 8 years ago this month, when I was the executive director of Equality California, 49 innocent clubgoers were killed at the Pulse nightclub shooting. In response, Equality California worked with Everytown for Gun Safety and the Brady Campaign and the Governor's Office and others to support, to launch the program Safe and Equal, which is an initiative to support stricter gun safety laws in California. And when we did that, Equality California became the first LGBTQ+ organization in the nation to prioritize gun safety legislation. I'm proud that that initial work work with all of you and was done by all of you resulted in the passage of 6 bills to ban possession of high-capacity assault rifle magazines, regulate the sale and possession of ammunition, limit loads for firearms, and much more. And it also resulted in the passage of Prop 63 requiring criminal background checks for people purchasing ammunition, among other things. This legislation gave California the strictest gun protections in the nation, but our work is far from over. That's why this year I've introduced the Hate-Based Gun Violence Prevention Act, AB 2917, sponsored by Everytown for Gun Safety and Moms Demand Action and the San Francisco City Attorney's Office. This bill refines California's nation-leading gun violence restraining order law to draw the civil court's attention to a broader set of risk factors when deciding whether to temporarily restrict access to guns. This includes threats of violence related to hate crimes laws and threats of violence to advance political objectives. Hate crimes in California have risen by almost 150% over the last 10 years. And we've also seen increases in extremist activity and hate crimes incidents motivated by anti-Semitism, prejudice based on sexual orientation and racial bias, Islamophobia, and much more. This is simply unacceptable. Our most vulnerable communities deserve protection from gun violence. We must ensure that California has the strongest gun safety laws in the nation and that we close every loophole that allows guns to get in the hands of anyone who should not have them. Gun safety has and will remain a top priority of mine and of our Lieutenant Governor and of our Treasurer and all of the members of the Legislature who are standing here today. I have served on the Public Safety Committee for nearly 2 years now, and I've got to say, I want to thank all of you because while this week is about wearing orange, one of the things I like most is when these important gun safety laws come before the Public Safety Committee, I will look out in the audience and see a sea of red of Mom Demands Action t-shirts on those days. And it's that work that you all do that keeps me inspired and I think that helps us understand what we need to do. So with that, I'd like to thank Deborah. Where'd Deborah go? Oh, there you are. Thank Deborah and Lisa and all of you for prioritizing gun safety. We need to end this threat to our kids and our communities and our way of life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, our next speaker is Lanisha Jones from Youth Alive in Oakland.
Hello everyone, my name is Lanisha Jones and I am a crisis responder with the Gaddafi Washington Project with Youth Alive. We provide emergency support for families who lost loved ones due to gun violence in the city of Oakland. The support consists of financial assistance to help with funeral costs, relocation services, helping families with planning the funeral, and connecting families with other resources that can help the family during a difficult time. Once the services are completed, we connect our families to therapy and mental health services if they're open to it. Doing this work and helping families in my community is so therapeutic for me because I have experienced the same trauma. I lost three brothers due to gun violence in the city of Oakland and other surrounding cities. I lost my little brother in 2013. I lost my baby brother in 2017. And I just recently lost my oldest brother in 2023. Out of the three, 2 are now considered cold cases. Although the police have communicated they have leads, they have not made an arrest as of now. But my family is not alone. There's so many families that I have worked with in the last year and a half with KWP that is experiencing the same problems. Imagine calling detectives over and over and over again, hoping that they're able to give you an update and they have no new information after years since the incident. It leaves you wondering, what are they doing? Even worse, imagine seeing the person who murdered your loved one on the streets. That's something that too many of our families actually experience. We want our communities to trust law enforcement, the justice system, and lawmakers, but when we're let down by a system that is supposed to protect and serve us, it leaves us with no trust. This act on gun violence is important, not only for my family, but also the families I've worked with and currently working with, because it let us know that you all are working to make us feel safe in our communities. That's why we're asking for your support and help to end gun violence. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lanisha. We are so proud to partner with Youth Alive, and we're really grateful for you being here to speak today. So next, I'd like to introduce Assembly Member Mike Gipson.
Thank you very much, Lisa, to Deborah, to everyone who gathered here today. My name is Mike Gipson. I happily served the 65th California State Assembly. Those are areas of Watts, Willowbrook, where I was born and raised. Compton, Carson, North Long Beach, Harbor Gateway, North and South Harbor City, Wilmington, and San Pedro. I represent 80 elementary schools, 15 high schools, 15 middle schools, 7 span schools, 2 universities, and 2 community colleges. That makes up the 65th California State Assembly District. I want to pause for a moment and thank every town in Moms Demand Action. Give yourselves a round of applause. Come on. Oh, you can do better than that. Thank you for always being on the front line. Thank you always being on the side of right and justice and truth. Together, we will continue to fight to protect people from gun violence in the state of California. Today, we remind ourselves as we stand shoulder to shoulder with those who survived gun violence. And we elevate the names of each and every individual who lost their lives in this state due to gun violence. We say no more. No more. We refuse to surrender. Each and every one of you are incredible and amazing, who have drawn a line in this sand, who said no more gun violence, no more killing of our babies. We stand as a bridge and a barrier to making sure that we do everything that we can to pass sensible gun legislation in the state of California. As was mentioned, the first Friday in the month of June marks National Gun Violence Awareness. Today we recognize more than 100,000 individuals who were killed, who were wounded by gun violence in the United States of America. We say no more. No more. Orange has become the defining color of this movement to represent gun violence. Hunters wear orange. Why? So that people will see them, so that we'll hear them. We remind ourselves of little Heidi. Little Heidi in Chicago was playing on a playground, whose life was shut down and cut down. Soon after the tragic incident, her friends chose to commemorate her life by wearing orange. And that's the reason why we wear orange, as a constant reminder that we say no more. No more. You see, gun violence for me is personal. I didn't just jump on the bandwagon. Gun violence knocked at our door. Oh, as a member of the California State Assembly, as a former police officer, understand that gun violence are no respecter of person. My colleague stood here a few moments ago and talked about 49 lives were lost in a nightclub. Right now, nightclubs are not safe. Churches and places of worship are not safe. Our school grounds are not safe. Babies are faced with trauma each and every day, fearing that they will be the next statistic. We say no more! No more! A year ago, I led in my community of Watts a march of 1,000 mothers in mourning. These are mothers who had to bury and say goodbye to their children, to their husbands, to their daughters, to their sons. and we took off on a 7-mile walk in the hot sun. But mothers were committed more than ever to draw a line in the sand, to say, no more. No more. And today we stand with my colleagues carrying legislation to do everything that we can to making sure that our streets are safe, that our synagogues are safe, that our children's playgrounds are safe. So we are unapologetic for the legislation that has been signed by this governor and governors before him, to making sure that California leads the way, because the fight is right here. We're fighting each and every day to protect our families, because we together with a loud voice, we say no more.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Gipson. Now I'd like to introduce Senator Rubio.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you, Mr. Gipson, our Lieutenant Governor, and everyone standing behind us. The passion that everyone brings just gives me hope that someday we will get there, that we will not see violence in our schools, gun violence in our churches, synagogues. You being here is a testament of how powerful our voices can be. And I want to thank everyone behind me, because as mentioned already, when there is legislation before us, we love seeing our red and we love seeing our orange. So thank you. Again, big round of applause to all of you standing here with us. Big round of applause. Thank you. So I want to thank everyone, again, the organizers, everyone that joined us today, but I want to take a moment just to remember the victims, because I know that we can talk about legislation, but I also have to remind myself of those that we lost. As a teacher, I have to remind people that in years past, we used to send our children off to school just saying, have a good day, be good in school, pay attention. But mothers, family, parents are sending their kids to school with instructions what to do when a shooter is on your campus, what to do when there's a lockdown. Envision 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old students having to manage their lives, having to be responsible for what to do in a moment of crisis. I have to remind us of this little boy in Uvalde. When the shooting began, his classmates perished. And what did he do? This young little boy had to act in that moment. He took the blood from his classmate, smeared it all over his face and his body, and laid underneath all the bodies because he needed to play dead. Think about it for that moment. This young man will carry that for a lifetime. A lifetime. He will always remember the bodies of his classmates sitting down next to him, laying down dead. And I know it's grim to say this, but this is how serious the situation is. We cannot talk about gun violence without talking about those circumstances that our children are living. I want to take a moment to remember Sandy Hook. Think of how young those kids were, our students were. Those that witnessed and are now gone, but those that witnessed and are still with us. Again, let's think of the trauma that these poor individuals have to deal with the entire lifetime. So I want to just acknowledge that people always think it's the life lost because they got, someone shot and that person perished. But it's not just the life that they lost due to gun violence, it's the life that they could have lived. These individuals, these children, our kids didn't have a chance to grow up, graduate. Parents didn't have the opportunity to walk their children down the aisle. See them just, pursue a career, have children, be grandparents. So we not only lose the lives that they had, but the life that they could have lived. And we say enough. And I've been honored to stand here with some of my colleagues in writing legislation. 3 years ago, I had a family here, and I want to remind us because they remain very close to my heart, and I passed legislation honoring their name, and that is the Sam sisters, Samia, Samara, and Samantha. And I passed legislation named after them, Sam sisters. Their father bought a ghost gun. He had a restraining order. And in that moment, he did not care that those were his children. He took that gun and shot all 3 of them, shot himself, and then shot the chaperone. Ileana, the mom, was left devastated. Her entire life turned upside down. It took her about a year to be able to speak about this tragedy in public. And I want to thank her because every time we've had rallies, she's mustered the courage to stand there with us. And so we have to remember the children that we've lost and will continue to lose if we don't do something. I'm so proud of California because we've been in the forefront of legislation, making sure that we protect our communities. But guns don't know boundaries. They will travel from other states to our state, and we've lost many due to that interaction. We need to encourage our neighboring states to do the same. We need to encourage our federal government to do something about it. Our children deserve better, our mothers deserve better, our community deserve better. And so to all of you back here, I'm sorry, all of you that stand behind me that lost a loved one, thank you for your courage. I've had a few family members that I've lost. I've talked often that I grew up in downtown LA in the most dangerous time in the 70s where guns were very prevalent. You would just duck every time a bullet was shot. And it seems incredible to believe that that was normal, but I don't want it to be normal. I don't want you to believe that this is the way of life and this is normal. We have to continue to advocate for those that cannot advocate for themselves. To all the children that are crying out from the grave saying, do something. You didn't save me, but let's save future generations. Thank you so very much for being here.
Well, thank you to all of our speakers for taking the time to be with us today. Thank you for everyone behind me for taking the time to be with us today as we honor lives taken and injured by gun violence and call for the end of gun violence. My name is Cassandra Whetstone. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a volunteer with Moms Demand Action. In his poem, The Cure, Albert Huffstickler wrote about how we think we get over things. We don't get over things. He wrote, the things that become part of our experience never become less of our experience. You move with it. Let the pain be the pain, not in the hope that it will vanish, but in the faith that it will fit in, find its place in the shape of things. As we remember those who have been killed and injured by gun violence, we will feel and should feel the pain, the loss, and the truth of why we are here today. And today we are going to take that truth and honor it with an action. In a few moments, we are going to gather into groups and walk about a block to the swing space down there where we're going to visit all of our state senators and assembly member offices and let them know about Wear Orange. Our team captains will give you more information about what this will look like as soon as you gather into your small groups. So everybody behind me, you should have a red wristband, and if you don't have one, we can get you. Clara, where are you? So Clara's got red wristbands if you don't have one. And we're gonna gather by numbers. So I'm gonna have our team captains come down. Group 1 is Tressa and Mary D, so you're gonna go with them. Group 2 is Diana and Roan. You're going to follow them. Group 3 is Amy and Mary Lou. Group 4, Cheryl and Julie. And Group 5, Jillian and Mary R. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Let's see if I get a copy of the video from somebody. You got a card? Yeah. I usually put them up on YouTube. So I would connect them. All right, appreciate it. No problem. Thank you. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. You gotta go. Yeah.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you again. Very nice remarks. Very good job. Very good.